Hi, tired? This is Ryan, and that over there on the other side of the call is Matthew, and we're Dadcast. How are you doing this week, my dude?
Good, good. Someone asked me a question the other day of what country capital is growing the fastest. And I actually found out it's Ireland because every day it's Dublin.
Every day I'm doubling.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the best part of these jokes is whenever afterwards we decide to just Dublin down on them.
Doubling down. At least you're not making this into a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song again.
Earlier this week, I think somebody told me something to the effect of that I should rap more often, or I should do something involving like rapping. Yeah, you should just like do a rap or something. And my first thought was, well, there's been like several episodes of the podcast where I started it with a rap. So
we should just do like a mini series, like epic rap battles of history, but that's already a thing.
Epic rap battles of getting sued. Copyright infringement.
Exactly.
Epic court battles of history. How was your week this week?
Pretty good. Except for the fact that I didn't go to class today because there was a threat of someone shooting up my school. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Apparently, some girl's boyfriend was like, "I'm going to come to the school and find you and shoot it up and blah blah." And then they, of course, had to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And then now it's like raining and storming. I'm supposed to get like a couple inches of snow here tomorrow. And fun fact, my knees have been injured from the military, and I can tell the weather with them. And they have been freaking killing me recently, so I think it's going to be a nasty one.
Yeah, I know that is like a thing with the different maybe my injury can tell me something because I don't know what just happened. I was trying to say that our bodies can kind of predict those kinds of things just due to like
are you
pressure.
Okay?
Dude, I don't know. I'm currently drinking a soda that may or may not have a little bit of alcohol in it, but I've only taken maybe a maximum of 4 sips, so I'm not
You're lightweight
under the influence. I actually do have a story where I'm actually pretty good with alcohol, where I don't have any issues. I don't know if it was just this particular drink that I had at this restaurant. It was like a nice fancy restaurant. Mandy and I went for an anniversary. Holy shit, dude. I was like halfway through the drink and I was buzzed as hell.
Wow.
Like Mandy was even saying like, "You're acting really funny." And I was like, I feel a little like weird. My head is a little light. Like, what's going on? Funny joke.
Were your knees weak, arms heavy?
There's alcohol on my sweater already.
Mom spaghetti.
Oh god, that burned.
Oh god.
I was taking a drink. You said that. It just came like through my nose.
Well.
Oh. Oh fuck. My nostril's gonna burn for like 3 days.
You're welcome. Oh god, that's the worst.
Back on the track of what I was trying to say before my aneurysm. Before our bodies can sort of predict that kind of thing due to the pressure changes, and if you have particular like your knee injuries, it'll affect those injuries and such. Kind of an interesting little tidbits of human anatomy and
yes,
fortune telling, black magic. I'm just kidding.
My knees have black magic in them?
You're dabbling in the dark arts.
I always thought of myself as a white mage.
Wait, what?
I always thought of myself as a white mage.
Wow.
That's racist.
Yeah, we're gonna move on. So, nothing else interesting this week?
No, nothing else that I can think of. What about you, my dude? Anything with you?
Yeah, so I guess this is kind of going back to last week because it's been a little bit since we've been able to sit down and record. But so last week at the museum was a week called Art in Bloom, and essentially what it is it's sort of a events week of just tons of people coming through. But the one thing from that week, the most awkward conversation that I've had with a patron, if not the most awkward conversation I had with like anybody in the world ever. So on that Friday evening, they had an event for Art in Bloom called Bubbles in Bloom, where basically they had like the roof open during the evening, and they had like all these flower arrangements, and they had like these machines, and they blew bubbles like all over, and it was just kind of really cool. It was very windy.
Bubbles?
It was there's a reason it was 18 plus for entrance that
So
day.
it was one of those museums.
It was one of the no, like it was okay. Maybe this will be better. They had these bubble machines that shot bubbles out. And,
now you're shooting bubbles?
Yeah.
What did he do to you?
Who is Bubbles? Why did they need to die?
It went from one of those parties to a John Wick party real quick.
Yep. That's exactly why I was scheduled to work that night, so I could dispose of the body. And no, but so it was kind of a twofold thing, I guess, because it was Bubbles in Bloom because they were just firing off these bubbles from these bubble machines, and there was a lot of wind that night, so like the bubbles are kind of flying around everywhere, and it looked pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But also there was a lot of alcohol, and it was basically the patrons that paid for their tickets for that night had free alcohol for the evening. So as you can imagine, there was probably, I would say maybe 3 different types of people that go to these kinds of events. There's the like middle-aged to older people that are there because they just really love art. They really love the museum. They purchased their tickets to support the museum. They came, enjoyed themselves, went through the galleries, so on and so forth. Second group of people was the old kind of turn their nose up, like, oh, the best kind of art is classic art kind of people that come to these sort of things because I have money, and they just throw their money at just useless crap, and like basically just came to like spout off like their wealth and show themselves off, and drink and things like that. And the third group of people, which I personally find it hard to engage or be around these kinds of people most of the time, are the younger people that specifically come to these things because, as I mentioned before, the alcohol was free. So they see this as an opportunity to just drink. And whether or not they even went through the galleries, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, that wasn't the reason they were there. They were there for the alcohol. And at the end of the night, when the event was winding down and people were being directed to leave the museum, I had 4 people up left on the roof at the very end of that night. And so I'm still up there. I'm kind of waiting for them, and then I was going to wait up there a little bit before doing a stairwell sweep. And so I'm waiting on these people, these 4 people. It's a group of 4 women, probably like late 20s, early to mid 30s. range. Definitely 100%. Absolutely smashed. they were hammered.
God.
They definitely belonged to that third group of people. And there was these centerpieces, these really beautiful flower arrangement centerpieces that had all been kind of moved onto one table, for them to dispose of or whatever at the end of the night. And the person who was directing the event said that any patrons that wanted to take any of those home with them could do that. And so I was planning on grabbing one of those and taking it home with me for my wife, just as like a nice little gesture. I'm thinking of you, my wife. And so I kind of had one already picked out. I had it kind of put over to the side a little bit. And this group of 4 women, 2 of them came up to me, and I shit you not, were just like, "Oh my God, these are so beautiful. Can we take these?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can take them. That's fine." "No way, we can take them? No way, like we can take them?" Yes, you can take them." "Oh my God, like we should totally take them." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, just go ahead and take them." So they start kind of looking through like which ones they want. The third woman walks up. The first 2 look over at her and go, "Did you know we could take these?" And the third woman's like, "No way, we can take these," and looks over at me. And I'm like,
no.
"Yes, you can take them." As I've already said, like 4 times, you can take them. It's just, "Oh my God, we can take these." And so they're all 3 of them are now looking at which ones they want to take. And then the 4th woman walks up, and I'm expecting more of the same. And in retrospect, I really wish it was more of the same. Like, she walks up to me, and the first thing she kind of does is she looks over at them and she's like, hey, guy, don't take don't take those. And then she looks over at me and goes, "Do you have like a significant other, like do you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend?" And I'm like, I'm married. I have a wife. Yes, I have a wife." And she's like, "Oh, like you need to take these back to your wife. Like, she would love them. It would be such a good thing to do. Like, you need to take all of these back to your wife." And there's like 7 or 8 of them on this table. I'm not taking 7 or 8 planters of flowers like with me. I'm not going to be able to fit them in my car. I'm not going to be able to fit them anywhere in our house. Like, where the hell would they go? And so I'm just kind of like, yeah, like whatever. And she turns to the group of 3. They're still looking over which ones they want, and she kind of goes back on the train of like, don't take those. Like, he's gonna take them all with him. He's gonna go and take them to his wife. Don't take them. He needs them. Like, duh. And I'm standing there thinking to myself, like, "Woman, you're batshit crazy. I don't need that many flowers. I'm taking one." And I tried to tell her this too. I was like, I just need to take one. Like, they can take, any of the other ones that they want to, and just as long as they leave me one. She's like, "No, you got to take them all." I'm just like, "Oh, okay, I guess, like, whatever." But the entire time she's trying to get her friends to not take any, they are completely ignoring her. like she doesn't exist to these other women, and they're just picking the ones that they want. And they're like, "This is what we're doing," and then we're going. And
That's awesome.
It was like funny, kind of awkward, but it gets worse.
Oh no.
So this woman then turns back to me and switches, the trains again back onto the one of like, "Oh, you need to take all these for your wife, and she's gonna love them." And then she proceeds to tell me verbatim, like, I'm not even shitting you, this is exactly what she says. As soon as you walk in that door, like, she's gonna love them, and it's gonna be an instant panty dropper.
Oh gosh.
And I wish I could have seen the look on my face, and I imagine it was probably as awkward and horrified and mortified as like the thoughts going through my brain of just, okay, lady, I was not happy having to talk to you, and I'm very, very unhappy talking to you now, and I just really wish you'd all go.
Right.
And she proceeds to repeat that like 4 or 5 times of just, you're gonna go in with these flowers and it's gonna be a panty dropper. And I'm just gosh. Why am I being subjected to this? This is like I want to go and walk over to the side of the building and jump off. Like, this is awful. I don't want to be here. And it's just like, it was so just awkward, and finally they just, yeah, it was very inappropriate. Like, I just never have had that kind of situation happen to me. Like, I've never even had a girl, aside from like the 2 people I've ever dated in my life, walk up to me and even say that I was like cute. Like, let alone like, you're gonna drop her panties. Like, it's so freaking awkward. And yeah, so they finally left, and just the rest of that night I was like, I hate this, but it's probably gonna be a funny story later on. So I guess there's that. But yeah, so that was basically my week.
That sounds very intense.
Yes. Yeah.
Very intense.
Yeah. Needless to say, I went home with my flowers, and I was fucking tired, so I went to bed.
Was it an instant? I'm not gonna say it. I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, it was an instant me dropping into my bed to go to sleep because I was tired. Like,
well, at least something dropped.
Yeah, as a she was not a visionary. She could not tell the future. She was just very drunk and very inappropriate.
Not even her friends would listen to her. So.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. That should have been my first red flag of communicating with this woman. Like, her friends didn't even want to.
Right. They're like, don't listen to her. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So, speaking of crazy, it's a good segue. I'm about to say it's a good Subway. Eat fresh.
Subway, eat fresh. Yeah. Oh gosh! Now we're gonna get copyrighted.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of fresh, this is a story all about how
no
Jesus Christ was risen somehow.
How do you come up with this?
I don't know, man. I have written so many raps in my head, but every single one of them is just the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme music. I have notebooks full of this shit. No, but there is no real segue there. But it has been quite a few weeks since this really kind of famous holiday where families will get together and, for some weird reason, look for Easter eggs made of plastic and enjoy some candy. Probably something to do with like fertility and rabbits.
Really?
And, also has to do with Jesus Christ. I don't know what any of the correlation of any of that stuff is, but Jesus has risen. We're going to talk about kind of an special Easter episode, like weeks after Easter, because we wanted to do an Easter episode and we just didn't. That's basically it. We just didn't. So we're doing it now. Jesus has risen late. His alarm did not go off in the morning. I guess he didn't plug his phone in that night. So we're doing it now.
His dad didn't wake him up on time.
Yeah. He was late to the rising. And late to the disciples meeting.
Right. Which, speaking about that, I heard this comedian. This is a totally left field kind of thing, but I heard this comedian say that millennials like me and you only come every 1,000 years. So based on that description, Jesus was a millennial. He went to work with sandals, and he was a carpenter, but he really wanted to do his own thing by speaking to the masses and people on a platform, and he had 12 followers. So he's like us.
It's have you seen the commercials and the billboards for I forget which denomination or church or whatever it's for, but it's like the hashtag Jesus relates.
Yep.
It's always just the Jesus understood bullying. He was bullied too. Hashtag Jesus relates. And I was like, I'm not sure he was bullied as much as he was murdered. I don't know if that correlates the same to what we experienced. But okay.
I think he had it worse.
Yeah. My bullies never came up and, it whipped me in my back to where I bled. I don't know.
And then hung you on a cross and stabbed you and let you bleed out while you couldn't breathe.
Yeah, exactly. And then buried me for 3 days without my phone charger.
Right.
But so with this late the lateness of Jesus rising and the lateness of us getting to this Easter episode, the specific topic we're going to be kind of talking about does tie into Jesus and faith and God, and we're going to be talking about our relation to religion, just kind of looking at kind of where and when perhaps we kind of were getting introduced into religion and what we thought about it, how we felt about it back then, things that have kind of changed throughout our lives, where we are now, as well as because we both, I think, have mentioned before here on the podcast. I have mentioned it a lot, to the point that we made a joke about it being a T-shirt. That we do both, I think, consider ourselves at least religiously spiritual. Whether or not that's in terms of religious in the sense of we go to service every week or are involved in churches or whatnot is a bit on the different side, but we at least partake in the particular faiths that we believe in. And so with that being said, when did you get introduced to any kind of idea of faith or religion?
Well, that's a tricky question. So the best way I can put into words is that it was very confusing for me at first, especially being a child, just because my mom, she always thought of herself as a Baptist, and my dad always thought of himself as a Catholic. And so they both have different ways of doing things, and I had no idea what was right, what was wrong, and all that. And I didn't understand the difference of having the same religion but different denominations. So I was introduced to it at a very young age, but never actually went to church, never actually went and found my own faith, just knew that there was a God and there was Jesus and he died for my sins and all that. And that's about it, and didn't really explore it until I got into the military, and I actually went to a lot of other different religious services. I went to a Buddhist service and a Wiccan service and all these other different services, just to see how they do things, try to find my own faith and all that. And non-denominational just kind of sprung out to me. And then after that, once I graduated from basic training and went out on my own direction and went up here to Colorado and met Michaela, she invited me to her church, and I went there and got really into the Bible, finding my own faith with this non-denominational Christian, And that's kind of where my story kind of started. Is at very first, when I was a child, I was thinking like, you know what, maybe I'm not religious because I've seen religious people and I don't like who they are.
Yeah.
And now I realize that the religion isn't about the people, but it's about the faith and about God and all that, and finding your own faith and being, who you are in this own faith, not about the other people that may be judging you when they're technically not supposed to be judging or anything like that. So, so
nice.
that's kind of that's kind of like where my journey began. How did your journey begin?
Yeah, so I actually just randomly had this memory unlocked, and I don't know if you will remember this, because it's totally like a weird left field sort of thing. I remember when we were younger, and there was a particular point in time where, like, at this point, I think my family might have started going to mass weekly at this point, maybe. But I do remember spending the night over at your house once, and I remember your dad used to listen to, like, I guess he had this particular CD, and there was a particular song on the CD that he really enjoyed. And I remember you also listening to it and enjoying it. And years down the line, I remember it's apparently a really big deal from a really big, like, Christian group that, like, obviously, like, they kind of broke up, but a lot of really predominant Christian artists nowadays, like the lead singer of Newsboys, Toby Mac, and a couple other people, I think, were a part of this group called DC Talk. And the big deal song, I think it's still a big deal, is Jesus Freak. And
I remember
hearing this song at your place one time when I spent the night. And I remember it being your dad enjoyed listening to it, and I remember you enjoyed listening to it as well. I think maybe, because your dad was really into it, and that's why you were into it. I don't know, but it was this weird memory unlocked of, oh yeah, this like big deal song gets played at like a bunch of these things, or people kind of reminisce about it being sort of like one of like the top sort of contemporary Christian hits of its time, and DC Talk was like the top sort of Christian group at the time, and everything, and I had no idea of any of that back then. And I didn't even really think of that song being like a Christian song, even though it specifically was about Jesus. But so I just had that memory just weirdly unlocked for me when you were talking.
You just unlocked that memory for me too. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, it's it's really, really weird. Yeah. So go enjoy that one, I guess.
Yes, I'll have to re-listen to it and see if I remember the words or not.
Yeah,
so I don't even remember how the song goes, but I remember the title, and I remember like my family always listening to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's weird that I completely forgot about that. And Grace right over it.
Yep.
Fun story though. When I was before we get into your story, I'm sorry, I'm super rude.
No, who cares?
You're right. Anyways.
We're talking about our faith and our religions, and that's how it always goes. Is my religion matters more than yours? So shut up. I'm just kidding. Exactly. That's not how it goes.
No, it's pretty funny because there was one time, because the apartments that me and my family lived in was right next to a Baptist church, and you might remember this apartment complex and remember what the church was actually called. I can't remember. But I remember I went to a service there because there was a girl that I thought that I liked. And she was like, you should come to church with me. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And I was like, the ladies' man. And I went there, and then they said, who here hasn't accepted Jesus into their life? And I raised my hand. They're like, great. Oops. Everyone that raised their hand, come with me. I was like, God damn it.
You're like, oops.
Yeah, right. And then we basically went to this big group where like there were multiple like pastors, and they were talking to us about Jesus and about how we can all get saved today, and like basically signed us all up to get baptized. And I was like 14, and I just went there to like be with a girl I liked. And I can't remember her name anymore, but I got all signed up for this. I was like, well, I guess I got to go through with it. And then the day of, I was like, nope, not happening. This isn't happening. And I kind of backed out of it. And then the pastor called my parents saying that if I back out of it now, then I will be forever damned and go to hell.
Oh,
and
shit.
That is on their shoulders as parents and all that. And I was like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't get baptized by that church.
Yeah, no joke. Well, okay, so I have a weird follow-up question to this. Mm-hmm. At this particular point, have you been baptized before?
Up to the age of 14?
Yeah, did you get baptized as like a baby or anything?
No, I did not.
Okay, because I was going to say that if you had, that literally like this dude's whole thing meant absolutely nothing, because like
exactly
the whole thing is like you get baptized once, you're baptized. Like as soon as you're baptized, it doesn't like you don't get rebaptized. That's not a thing.
Exactly. And since then I have been baptized. I believe I got baptized when I was like 23 or 24, somewhere around there.
Nice.
But so finally did get baptized and actually knew what I was getting baptized for, and it wasn't one of those like just sign your name here, otherwise you're going to hell.
No joke.
It was like, oh, you found your faith. Like this is the next step to like further like solidify that faith in God and accept Jesus as your Savior and all that. Mm-hmm. So it made it much more open, and I had much less questions at that point.
I can imagine.
That just kind of unlocked a memory for me too, since we were like talking about the subject. So
yeah.
So anywho, enough about me. Tell me about your journey and where it started, and a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I technically, I don't know if you could say I was technically a cradle Catholic. Like I was baptized when I was a baby, so obviously I don't remember that. Mm-hmm. And then typically how it kind of works in like the Catholic Church is, so there's a number of different sacraments, which essentially are, the pillars of the Catholic faith, essentially. And the idea is that the sacraments are sort of these sacred sort of rituals or rites that, kind of strengthen your faith and give you the tools that you need to live a good life. And so baptism, again, like you said, it's literally that first step to, the life of faith of like, well, you're baptized, it washes away like original sin, and you're able to, more effectively live like a life of faith and avoid sin. If you are willing to put in the work, which is kind of the important point there. It's not like it just wipes you clean. There are denominations that kind of believe that, well, once you're baptized, you're saved and you're good to go. You can do whatever, and you're fine. Which obviously, like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, okay, I'm baptized. I can go rob a bank and kill some people, and I'll be fine. It's like that's not.
But I'm baptized.
Yeah, that's not how that works. But so basically, at that point, you're kind of just raised in the Catholic Church, in the Catholic faith, and you kind of have like the next sacraments that come up. It's usually around the time frame where you're like in second grade, I think, is kind of the normal age range, is like right around there when you're in second grade. And that is that you do your first confession, and you receive communion in the church for the first time. So before that age, you're not able to receive communion, or the little piece of unleavened bread, the host, that we believe is the body of Jesus Christ, or the very, very watered down wine that is the blood of Jesus. You're not allowed to receive that until you've you're at an age where you can kind of understand what that means, and usually that's right around second grade. And so, you do confession, which is basically just you're confessing your sins to Jesus, and then trying to basically it's asking forgiveness to Jesus directly through like the person of the priest. Because the priest is basically acting in the person of Christ at that particular moment, and so you're asking for forgiveness and trying to mend your relationship with God through that sacrament, and then you usually get some kind of penance that you have to make to try to make it up to God, which it sounds kind of weird, and honestly it probably is a little bit weird, but so you do that way. When you receive for the first time, you're in like what we call a state of grace, which is a state where you are not actively kind of weighed down by your sins. And so you then receive communion, but even then you are still not fully a part of the church. And in my sort of experience, I don't even really remember going to mass prior to kind of second grade-ish range. I believe we started going to mass when like I was kind of getting to that age of when I needed to start doing first communion classes and stuff. And so I kind of remember doing that, and it was just it felt like a thing that like I was just being made to do, because as much as it's supposed to be you do the classes and stuff to understand like what you're going to be doing, I didn't really understand what I was doing. I was a kid. Like,
you're just doing what your parents told you to do.
Yeah, like my mom was like, well, we signed you up for these classes, you're going to do them. And I was like, okay. So, I did it. I went through it. Yeah, so I really I didn't know what was going on. It didn't really have any importance to me at that point. And after the communion classes, the people there were very judgy. I had to miss a class at one point because my brother had a soccer game that morning. And
I bet they gave you hell.
Oh yeah, they gave my mom hell. Absolutely hell for it, about how that's more important than a stupid soccer game, and yada yada yada. And my mom was like, you know what? As soon as we're done with these classes and you get your first communion and stuff, we're leaving. We're not coming back to this place. And so we didn't. And for a number of years, we didn't go to church because we didn't have like a home parish to go to, which I didn't really think anything of it because, it wasn't really a big deal in my life at that point. And so it wasn't like anything was missing. Eventually,
just a side note, like, from my experience with, people in the Catholic Church, and this isn't everybody by any means, but most people that I've met from the Catholic Church are very judgmental, and like, it just seems very hard to be a part of the Catholic Church, especially being a newcomer. Like, they don't seem very welcoming.
Yes. Which is very...
That's just my, my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, which, that's kind of a little aside from me. Most of the, really, really great Catholics that I've met were converts, like adult converts. Most of the people that were, raised Catholic, or maybe they converted during, their teenage kind of years, or when they were really young, like college age or whatever, most of those people tend to be the worst. Because I don't know if it's this whole idea of, being hipster about it and well, I was a part of this the whole time, or I was a part of this when I was young, and you're just now getting into it at an older age, loser. I don't know, but yeah, most of the people I've met that I would consider the best Catholics that I've met were people that kind of converted after adulthood, or there's a few, obviously, my wife that, was raised Catholic, and she's good. But it's very difficult to find not judgmental people, I would say, in any religion probably, but specifically the Catholic denomination can be pretty bad. And I had to work with people like that before. It's pretty bad. But yeah. So kind of getting back to where I was eventually, a little bit later on, probably shortly before I started going to high school, there was a friend of my mom's that was a grandparent of a friend of my brother's that he played soccer with, and they went to a Catholic church out in Tacoma Park, a really like kind of small, like very, very community-based parish. And my mom was like, well, you know what? We really should get back into going. You know, it's been long enough. Like, we should try it. So we did. And we enjoyed it. And we were kind of like, this is the place. Like, this is where we fit. This is the place for us. And the priest was pretty significantly on the older side. But he was like a really nice dude. He was really good. You know, there weren't any of the fire and brimstone like type of sermons that were going on or anything. So it was just really nice, and it was very like community and family focused. It was great. And eventually he ended up having to retire because he had a heart condition, and he had to get heart surgery. Dang. Which, a crazy story actually. We met with him a little bit later when I was in confirmation. We had like a little confirmation retreat type thing. Yeah. The last meeting that we had that first year, which I ended up having to go to a different parish and do my second year of confirmation there because the parish closed down, which is kind of skipping ahead. But he actually had a heart condition since he was a child. Oh. And the doctors said, when they did surgery on him, like the year before that or whatever, they said that he was incredibly lucky because he should not have lived past the age of like 16 with this heart condition. And he lived to be, he just recently passed away in the past like 2 or 3 years, I think. And he lived to be like in his 80s, like late 80s. So, wow. And he had surgery, I think, in his lower 80s. So he lived a very long life with the like possibility of he should not have. So that was pretty incredible. But
that's definitely like a God thing. I think.
Yeah, exactly. And but whenever he retired, we got a new priest, and I kind of attribute me still being Catholic to this particular priest. And he was an absolutely amazing human being, an amazing priest. His name was Father Tharp, and he's amazing. There was a like interview that was done with him through like the Oklahoma Catholic broadcasting or whatever. I'll have to find the video and send it to you because you can probably get the air about him just by watching it. And he was like super cool and like nerdy too. Like a friend of mine and I stopped in a comic book shop for a free comic book day one year, and he was in there dressed as Doctor Strange.
That's awesome.
And it was like his favorite. Yeah, it was his favorite comic book, like superhero, Marvel hero. And so it was like really cool. He was that kind of guy. But we had him, and I would say that's kind of where like my passion for my faith like really ignited and started. And that kind of continued through high school, obviously continued through college because I decided to get my degree in theology. And sadly, when I was in college, I believe my junior year, Father Tharp passed away from heart complications.
Oh no.
And he was not on the older side. He was, kind of middle-aged. So it was kind of just really out of the blue and was like a real downer. But yeah, I mean, I still thank him and, contribute the fact that I even got this far in my faith, thanks to him, being the priest that kind of happened to come in at the right time when I needed him. And that's kind of an example of like, why I can still be nerdy and love these sort of not Catholic things and whatnot, and still be myself while also being Catholic. And that was kind of a big part of my story, I think, was struggling with like the identity of being me and the things that I loved, while also struggling with like, kind of like you were saying, that there are a lot of Catholics where the religion becomes their personality almost, and
like
so
their
they
whole entire world.
Yeah, and they will basically judge other people that don't have that as their personality or their whole world. Like I would listen to whatever music I listened to as a child, and it would probably be looked at as weird or chastised or whatever by some of these people because all they listen to is contemporary Christian music, which, full disclosure here, I absolutely hate contemporary Christian music. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it a bunch when I was in high school, like my first couple of years, until I started looking more into it and listening to it a little bit deeper and kind of seeing how a lot of it is very manipulative towards people's emotions. And I kind of have that same reaction a lot with things like camps and conferences and things like that. Is a lot of it is very emotionally charged and specifically aims at triggering people's emotions a certain way. And I don't feel like that's right for, guiding people on their faith journeys of, well, if you get them to feel a certain thing and like make them cry,
make them cry.
Yeah. Twist that baby's arm, make them cry for their God. Like, it feels unnatural to me. Like, it feels a little bit deceptive, and I can totally see how people get that vibe from it sometimes. So, I kind of struggle with that, to where I'm at now, where, I had all of this stuff kind of coming up with like the church, where every entity I either went to school at or I worked for that was Catholic had some kind of problem here or there, whether it was sweeping sexual assault allegations and stuff under the rug, not firing a pedophile when there was quite obviously a pedophile working for them, treating the employees like shit, not paying us enough, just the snootiness of the people that, either worked there or volunteered or whatever. And, just being so judgmental and not caring about like people on the human level, that, that's kind of where I'm at. Is I'm trying to navigate that space right now of I'm Catholic, but the way that the Catholic Church would probably see me is I'm a lapsy or lapsed Catholic. I don't really go to mass anymore. I'm not involved in my parish, things like that. But, I still believe in the faith, and I've kind of come to this conclusion of separating the faith from the religion, in the sense that the faith is what I believe in, and the religion is like the stuff that you do and the place that you go, kind of. So I'm kind of separating myself from being super active and involved in the church, because I feel like that was having such a negative impact on like my faith and what I was believing. That right now, I hate the term. So that there's certain people, and you'll know where I'm going with this probably, that are called SBNRs, which is an acronym for spiritual but not religious. I absolutely hate that term. It sounds very stupid. I'm spiritual but not religious, and before it like didn't make any sense to me at all. I still hate the term. I think the term is stupid, but like I totally get that now. Of separating yourself from like the being active in like the organization of a religion, because a lot of organized religions are run by people, and people have their problems.
Who are not perfect, and
yes, yeah. And so I did see it described once as, instead of SBNR, they were described as individual seekers. That term I like, because that can just go amongst many different things. Of it's not even specifically one religion. Like you might be seeking and you kind of see things in different religions, and it kind of all applies to you on an individual level and things like that. So I would kind of consider myself a Catholic individual seeker at this point. I'm wanting to be involved in my faith and searching through my faith, but on my own terms. Not being told by the church, this is what you should be believing. This is how you should be doing things. This is what you should be doing. And then basically getting chastised or, what have you, because I'm not doing that the way that they should be according to them. So,
Yeah, and I totally get that. There's a story I have to share with you of a church that me and Michaela actually left specifically because of like the organization and the person that was in charge of the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And they hit something that struck a huge nerve with us. And before, like, I tell you the story, me and Michaela, we have a lot of friends. Like, we have friends that don't believe in God. We have friends that are Mormon. We have friends that are Catholic. We have friends that are Baptist. All different types of like different friends that believe in different things.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this church service for this particular church, which I won't say their name, but I absolutely hate that church.
Westboro Baptist. I'm just kidding.
Right. What happened during it is he was basically saying along the lines that you have to be in that specific non-denominational church to believe in God and Jesus the right way to get into heaven. If you believe in like the Catholic way or the Mormon way or the Baptist way or the Mormon way, or I might have already said Mormon, but like,
this double goes for Mormons.
Right, or any other way, then you're definitely not getting to heaven. You need to convert all your friends and people you know that are of these different faiths to this non-denominational church that you're at right now.
Yeah.
And we're like, absolutely not. And I almost got up out of the service and just left. But we did not go back after that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
It's just crazy. And even with my dad, another story that I wanted to share is my dad was Catholic, but he was kind of like you in the sense where he didn't go to church because he always felt like he was very judged, and like there's so many like bad people. He used in his words like there were a bunch of hypocrites.
Yep.
There, and where they tell you to do one thing, otherwise you're going to hell, but then they turn around and do it. And he just wasn't about all that, but he still believed in God and Jesus and all that. And after my mom passed, he really wanted to get back into the Catholic faith, and he didn't have a Catholic church that he went to or anything like that, but he really wanted to do confession because he hasn't been to confession forever and wanted to do confession. And he went to the Catholic church and asked to do confession, and they basically said for him to confess he would have to go back through confirmation class and become like a Catholic again. And because they said that in their church's eyes, the specific one he went to, I can't remember which one, but they said that he wasn't a Catholic anymore. And I was like, damn, like, aren't we supposed to be opening our arms and helping people that are in need? Like this doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
So I totally get about not being part of a actual group, because me and Michaela, we actually aren't part of an actual church right now. We just kind of do our own thing and watch services online from like Life Church here and there, which I think actually is filmed in Norman, Oklahoma, right? It's either Norman or Edmond. I get them mixed up all the time.
Yeah, I think there's one. I think there's one in Norman.
Yeah,
maybe
because there's a guy there that he talks about like Oklahoma weather and tornadoes all the time. So I'm like, oh, he's an Okie.
It's probably Norman then. That's the area that gets hit a bunch.
Right. Oh, yeah. So I mean, I like that. What you said. You said individual seeker.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. It's because like, I don't know. It's kind of the thing with just education in general. Like there are some people that they're visual learners. There's other people that are, hands-on learners. They have to literally do something in order to be able to, kind of understand it better. And like there's no one glove that fits, each person.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea that, well, there's only one religion that's going to get someone, somewhere that they need to go, is kind of. Yeah. I think it's a little bit ridiculous, and I'm not saying necessarily that, oh, well, you just like do whatever religion you want and like, magically like things will work out or like whatever. But because it's obviously there's going to be people that they just swear off religion completely, they say, I either don't believe in a God because, I hate him, or, I do believe in God, but I hate him, so I don't, follow religion at all or whatever. And if they, whenever they die, and they get to judgment, and I think a lot of misconceptions on that too is that God sends you to heaven or he sends you to hell, but like heaven and hell, at least in the Catholic or just even Christian sphere, a lot of people aren't necessarily educated correctly with this, but heaven and hell aren't places, but they're states of being. Heaven being the state of being where you're in communion with God, hell being where you're completely separated from God. And ultimately, what kind of leads to those two different states of being is where you are currently at. If you are just like, I want nothing to do with God, and you get to judgment and you're like, yeah, here you are in front of me, I want nothing to do with you. Like, you're going to be in the state of hell because that's ultimately what you want. And it's not necessarily going to be as it's depicted by human beings that, you're going to be burning in a fire for all eternity. Like, the real pain, the, quote unquote real pain of hell is the fact that hole that we kind of feel as human beings of like what we're searching for is never going to get filled. Whereas, if somebody that doesn't believe in God, comes up to judgment, sees God and is like, hey, you know what? Like, I see you here. I believe, that person is like probably gonna end up in a state of heaven at some point, like it's more, I think, about the open-mindedness and the willingness to accept that. And I would say if you kind of sum up my beliefs on everything and how I feel towards like the Catholic Church in particular right now into like one little saying, it would be that the people that are searching are always going to be closer than the people that think they've already found it.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, because there's plenty of people in the church that act as if, well, I'm Catholic, I already know the correct path to heaven, I'm already there, I'm good, and I'm going to try to convert people or, look down on people that aren't wanting to get converted or, things like that. And, I mean, almost essentially like they're better than other people because of that. Yeah. And I feel like those are the people that are going to get to judgment, and God's going to be like, yeah, you weren't doing what I wanted you to do.
Exactly.
And he's going to look at somebody that person looked down on and is like, hey, you spent your whole life searching. Well, now you found me. And like that, I firmly believe that more than, an asshole in the Catholic Church that's like, you're not Catholic, you're going to hell, is gonna make it to heaven before somebody else. Like, it's kind of like you mentioned earlier, like you and Michaela are friends with, people, some that believe in God, some that don't, like this, that, and the other. And, I, especially, with where I'm currently at now, it's like I have a number of friends that they came from other, religious backgrounds, other denominational backgrounds and stuff. Some that maybe didn't come from any religious background at all, that they either don't believe in God at the current moment, or, maybe they kind of believe in something, whether that's, God as we kind of see it, like biblically or not. Like, I don't know how they will feel about me saying this, but I see Jesus more in them than I do in most of the Catholics that I have worked with or had to deal with the past few years working in the church. And
I agree with you.
I think that says a lot about just not just Catholicism even, but maybe Christianity as a whole. But maybe we all need to kind of go back to the drawing board, open up our Bibles, specifically go to the Gospels, read those and look at Jesus.
John.
Yeah, and specifically look at those and look at Jesus and what he does in those and say, maybe that's what I should be doing.
Yeah,
instead of being a prophet of the Old Testament that goes and kills like all the people that don't want to convert.
Exactly. Yeah, and I agree with you like 110%. Like, there's so many good people that I've met, and like I talk to them about like religion and anything like that, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm an atheist," and I'm like, "You're like the nicest person I've ever met," and like you're way more kinder than anyone, and you don't believe in God, and they always say something along the lines like, "Oh, I don't believe in God," and blah blah. But if you're standing right before me, or if I ever to meet Jesus, like I go out to get coffee with him and like talk to him because he seems like a really cool guy, but all that, and I was like, and when they do get to judgment and see him, then all doubts will be gone. I feel like but.
Yeah, like I said, the seekers are going to be closer to that than the people that think they've already found it.
Exactly.
You can quote me on that. We'll make it into a T-shirt.
Yes. Yes. We could make it into like a Harry Potter T-shirt with like the Seeker.
Yeah, there's a broomstick underneath it,
Right.
and the golden snitch like flying around. It's brilliant.
Yes.
You're a Christian, exactly.
And then all like the people trying to beat up everyone else, those are like the people who already quote unquote know God and just beating each other up on their beliefs.
Yep, exactly.
My way of thinking is better than yours. That's how a lot of wars start too.
Yeah, no joke, man, no joke.
Anyways, but yeah, so it's very interesting our journeys, just like hearing both of our journeys, and kind of hearing them side by side. One story that I want to bring up to everyone that I'm sure you may remember is confirmation class. And I actually went with you to a couple classes. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
So, and it was strange because I think it was in 8th grade at the time.
Ninth grade.
9th grade, yeah. 8th or 9th grade. Yeah, 9th grade. And it was so strange because I was in 9th grade and I was struggling through science class. And, I was like struggling super hard, and like this particular teacher like had me stay late after classes to make up on homework because I just wasn't doing the homework or anything like that. And then you talked to me. It's like, hey, come to confirmation class with me and all that. And I think that was something we always did. Like I would stay the night at your house, and then the next day me and you would both go to confirmation class, if I remember correctly.
I remember because our confirmation classes were in the evening.
Oh yeah, they're in the evening, not in the morning. So
yeah, and I think they were on the weekend. So I think you would come over, we'd go to class, and then you'd stay the night afterwards.
Okay, yeah, it was probably the other way around. Yeah,
but I think that's.
I remember going into confirmation class, and they're sitting there teaching the class is my science teacher that taught biology in my 9th grade year. She was like, "Oh, I didn't expect to see you here, Matt." And it was just so strange. And so I remember going there a couple of times with you, and of course I got my grade better in biology because she's a really good teacher. And I cannot remember her name for the life of me right now. Do you remember her name?
Mrs. Stiers.
Yes, Mrs. Stiers. Yep. She's actually, the last time I saw her was a couple years ago, and she's actually a vice principal of Monroney High School or middle school now.
Oh, she's the vice principal there now? That's cool.
I believe she's a vice principal or some like the higher staff. Like she's not a normal teacher anymore.
Yeah, she's like an administrator now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. So yeah, nice. She's made it up there. So really good teacher. I liked her a lot. So
nice.
But I just wanted to share that story because I was like, I remember that. That was strange.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to cut this particular thing I'm about to say, but so the particular reason I remember her name is because I remember her daughter's name because I had a crush on her daughter.
Oh,
at the time. So
nice.
Yeah, that was
What's her name? I'll send this podcast to her.
No, let's not do that. I am sure you remember. There's this thing called being married. This like ring that I have around my finger.
But it would be such a huge panty dropper.
Oh my god. If you walk in and mention her on a podcast, it'll be a huge panty dropper.
It all comes full circle, man.
Oh my gosh. Ugh.
I think this will be a good time to talk about our favorite books in the Bible to cleanse our souls.
We're gonna go back to the confessional here, and
right.
All right. So with that, we'll probably go ahead and just wrap things up. Do you have any last little things you want to add? Little tidbits?
No, the only thing that I can think of is that, believing God and Jesus is a great thing. And I think that, like you were saying with the gloves, like no one glove fits all of us. But I think with me and you specifically that we found more faith and found God and all that. Sorry, got distracted. Found God in our own way. And we're still currently seeking him right now, which I think is just as great. And you don't necessarily need to go to a church to find God. So,
yeah, for sure. And kind of the last little tidbit thing that I'd like to throw in there. Well, first and foremost, is a thank you to everybody that's kind of been a part of this journey for me. Whether it was the friends and family that were Catholic that I had that were such kind of a pivotal point in my journey through like high school and college and post college, being really involved in the church during those times, but also a huge thank you to the people that aren't Catholic and maybe you're not even religious, that I know now that whether they kind of know it or not have been kind of a major part of my Catholic individual seeker saga that's been going on like the past year, 2-ish or so, and just very, very greatly appreciate you all. So just wanted to top off with that.
Yes, and appreciate all you guys listening to us as well.
Yes.
Yep. And we're going through this journey of podcasting and sharing our thoughts with you guys, not only for you guys, but just for ourselves and our friendship. Just, give ourselves time just to talk to each other. And these are great times and great conversations I think we're having. So thank you, everyone who's been listening to us.
Yep. Even when the night is an absolute shit show and
yes.
episodes get scrapped for absolute insane people talking whatever is going on. Like,
right.
Yeah, those that results in easy blooper episode content.
Right.
But yeah, for sure, and we hope you all continue to be involved in this journey and this process, and part of that, watch this incredibly smooth transition, a part of that, getting along into our journeys in this process and everything is making sure to stay up to date with us. And where, Matthew, can they do that?
Pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. So Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Amazon Podcasts. I'm blanking on a lot of them.
I think you hit the big ones. I want to say there's only like 4 or 5, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, so basically anywhere you can find podcasts is where you can find us. The only place not yet that we haven't gotten to is iTunes. but we're currently trying to work on that. So stay tuned on that.
Yeah, I look at Apple. Like, every time I pull up iTunes and I see the Apple logo, I'm just like, I hate you!
All right,
You
do
have the higher ground, though. Exactly.
So, but yeah, so we are switching our episode release dates and times to Friday evenings now.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of works with our schedules a little bit better and kind of gives you something to listen on throughout the weekend. So we hope you guys enjoy the little change in tune that we have.
Yeah, so enjoy it. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that.
Enjoy it. Crickets. Crickets.
Dude, I'm gonna find a cricket noise and just insert it right there. It's gonna be perfect. Yeah. So also make sure to check out the social medias. We are on Facebook and Instagram. I share posts, share memes, share stuff. That's supposed to be the idea.
Actually pretty funny. So
yeah. you make it sound like it's a surprise. Yeah, Ryan actually shares funny stuff sometimes.
Right. No, you're funny most of the time.
Yeah. So
if you just want to like wrap it up and say the slogan, and then we'll just be on our ways.
I'm not wrapping anything up tonight, dude.
What?
Nothing. More cricket sounds. Okay. All right, but with that, thank you all for watching or listening this week. Watching with your ears and listening with your eyes. And we are going to catch you all in the next episode. And with that, remember to stay tired.
Stay tired.